Shabbat Shalom. We've all heard of the term influencer. Typically good-looking people on our social media feeds promoting products, services, or ideas, often through sponsored content. There are so many different types of influencers: fashion, beauty, travel, food, gaming, health, wellness, the list goes on and on. And we either choose to follow those individuals or the algorithm shows us these influencers based on our Google searches, online interactions, and even just talking out loud when our phones are in the same room. And these influencers, they're quite successful. In a recent study, 86% of consumers buy products from influencer recommendations annually, especially millennials and Gen Z. I myself have purchased items that I would have never known about if it wasn't for Instagram. It's no wonder that, according to a recent poll, 57% of Gen Z, those ages 13 to 28, said that they would like to be a full-time influencer when they are old enough. No longer want to be an astronaut or a teacher or an athlete, but an influencer. And just wait to see until you hear how much they can make. They can make between $50, all right, and $50,000 per post. That is wild. That is a lot of money per post that these people can make. Influencers can use their platforms for good. They can raise awareness. They can spread important messages. They can fundraise. But they can also create insecurity, comparison, and the illusion that only people with massive followings matter. Those with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of followers. But as we prepare for Hanukkah, that starts Sunday night, if you don't have your gifts all wrapped and your candles purchased, here's your warning. We have to ask, what does Judaism teach us about what it really means to influence each other? Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory taught there are two dimensions of leadership. One is power and the other is influence. Often we'll confuse the two. After all, those who have power often do have influence. And those who have influence have a certain kind of power. In fact, he says, however, the two are quite different, even opposites. We can see this by a simple thought experiment. Imagine for a second that you have total power, so you're like the Emperor from Star Wars, and then you decide to share it with 9 others. Now you have 1/10 of the power with which you began. Now imagine, by contrast, that you have a certain measure of influence, and now you can share that influence with 9 others. Now, how much do you have left? Not less. In fact, you actually have more. Initially, there was only 1 of you, but now there are 10. Your influence has spread. Power operates by division, influence by multiplication. With power, the more we share, the less we actually have. With influence, the more we share, the more we have. And this understanding of influence versus power is found in how we light our Hanukkah candles. If you look at any Hanukkah, the Shamash always stands apart, the helper candle always standing way above the others. It's not counted among the other 8 lights. It's not why we recite the blessings. But without the Shamash, nothing gets lit. We must light the Shamash first and use its light to ignite the rest of the candles. The Shamash does not lose its flame when it shares its flame with others. Rather, it gains purpose. It is the quintessential Jewish influencer, a quiet flame whose whole job is to help others shine bright. In the book of Zechariah, there is a vision of the menorah revealed to Zerubbabel, who helped lay the foundation of the second temple. God tells him that it is not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, says God. It's not by the power or the might that is victorious, power or might that creates lasting change. No, it's Spirit. Spirit causes change. It's the small sacred moments that we often don't understand at the time of their happening. Those are the moments that influence us. Those are the moments that shape ourselves and the world. As a child, some of my earliest memories are of gathering in my dining room and lighting the Hanukkah with my family. I remember when I was finally old enough and maybe not scared enough to hold the Shamash, passing its glowing flame down the row of candles, watching each wick catch and begin to flicker. Now, we weren't the most observant family, but we did show up each night of Hanukkah. We lit the candles, we recited the blessings, and yes, of course, we shared presents. But those moments together as a family, they lit something inside of me. They ignited my own Jewish journey. It wasn't the power or the might of the Hanukkah story of the Maccabees. No, it was the small ritual of lighting the candles, of sanctifying those holy moments. That's influence. Not the kind with millions of followers and advertising money. No, the quiet, flickering flame of the Shamash bouncing from candle to candle, surrounded by those that I love. In the great debates of Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, the houses of Shammai and Hillel, they argued about how we are supposed to light the candles. Shammai says we begin by lighting all the candles on the first day. Hillel says, no, we light one candle and then we increase up until the 8th day, and then the entire Hanukkah is glowing bright. Beit Hillel says his reason is that the number of lights is based on a simple principle. One should elevate to a higher level in matters of sanctity. One should not downgrade. You should continuously make something brighter and brighter as you go on. For Hillel, influence grows slowly, steadily, starting with just one candle, one moment at a time, one individual at a time. There's a beautiful story from the Lubavitcher Rabbi. The chassid asked him, Rabbi, what's a chassid? The Rabbi answered, a chassid is a street lamplighter. In olden days, there was a person in every town who would light the gas street lamps with a light he carried at the end of a long pole. On the street corners, the lamps were there in readiness, just waiting to be lit. A street lamp lighter has a pole with fire. He knows that the fire is not his own, and he goes around lighting all of the lamps along his route. Today, the lamps are there, but they need to be lit. It's written, the soul of man is the lamp of God. And it's also written, a mitzvah is a lamp, and the Torah is its light. A chassid is one who puts personal affairs aside and goes around lighting up the souls of the Jewish people with the light of the Torah and its mitzvot. Jewish souls are in readiness to be lit. Sometimes they are around the corner, sometimes they're in the wilderness or they're at sea. But there must be someone who disregards personal comforts and conveniences, and he goes around to ignite these lamps with his or her flame. That is the true function of a chassid, the Rebbe says. The lamplighter became a true Shamash, a leader, not through power or might, but through influence, by taking their light and sharing it with the entire world. The lamplighter walks from lamp to lamp, not knowing which ones are going to catch the flame or how long that flame may last. And when we look at the most recent Pew study, we see the Jewish people in this country, it's full of lamps. Some are blazing, some are flickering, but many of them are just there waiting. 32% of U.S. Jews ages 18 and up say they don't identify with any Jewish denomination. In comparison, 37% said Reform, 17% said Conservative, 9% Orthodox, 4% Other. These Jewish people in America, they're not disconnected. Many are actually seeking a spiritual life, but they're unable to find their lamplighter. They're looking for their Shamash to ignite their souls, someone whose flame is steady enough to share their light. They're waiting for all of us here tonight at Shabbat services or watching online for our presence, our kindness, our invitation to be a part of the Jewish community. But their souls will not be ignited alone. They need our Shamash to guide them. As we begin Hanukkah this Sunday night as a community at our Light Up the Night event, I hope to see all of you there on roller skates. It'll be fun. I invite all of us there to act as the Shamash, to meet someone new, to share this sacred moment with them, to create memories that will influence the next generation, to kindle the flames of the Jewish people. And this year, let's go beyond just the walls of Beth Yeshurun. I began by speaking about modern social media influencers, the people who currently shape the world through what they share online. What if just for these 8 days of Hanukkah, we became Jewish influencers? Excuse me. We're taught, that we must publicize the miracle of Hanukkah by placing the Hanukkah in the window for everyone to see. This year, let's utilize the modern public windows, social media. Post a picture, post a video of you lighting the Hanukkah with your family, reciting the blessings, singing songs, playing dreidel, cooking and eating latkes and sufganiyot. Let the world see our light. Not for likes, not for attention, not for fame, not for money, but because you never know who is watching that video. Maybe someone who has not lit a Hanukkah in years. Maybe someone who's feeling distant from their Judaism. Maybe someone who has yet to discover that they have a Jewish soul. Our posts may be the spark that those 32% Jewish Americans need to say, maybe I should light the Hanukkah this year. Maybe I could belong. Maybe there is a community waiting for me. Who knows whose soul might be ignited simply because we shared our light. This Hanukkah, I invite all of us to be a Shamash. Let our light shine beyond our window and out into a world that is aching for hope, for connection, for Jewish pride. Shabbat Shalom.